Who that told him that though?
Because his statement in his statement is Wack.
What you mean?
Damn,
Because
it's been 3
obviously
years.
you ain't going to court because you was going to court.
Triple
Every time you go to court, they gonna let us know you going to court. So
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open
nah,
gun
what
case.
about
Fool.
the gun case, bullshit?
I can't go to court for immigration if I got
They
an
will
open
give
gun
you
case.
your time.
And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
Going through it. I said, yeah, I don't know nothing about this. He said, man, y'all too tight. I see Big U signature. I see other signatures. I'm reading it. And what shook me was the police issued device to communicate with law enforcement in form of a BlackBerry.
Welcome back to your daily dose of scandal and glamour. Let's spill the tea on today's hottest drama. He's been screaming snitch at everybody for years, loud, wild, and non-stop. But now, a leaked wiretap tied to 21 Savage just turned the whole game upside down. The streets are now digging deep into Wack's 2005 federal gun case, and folks are starting to ask the real question: has this man been double-crossing from the jump? Imagine that. The same dude who's always running his mouth about rats might have been flashing a badge behind the scenes, even if it was just for a second. That 1 second could have been the moment his whole street rep started falling apart. But wait, it gets messier. Word is, it might have been 21 Savage himself who leaked that tape, not reposted it, leaked it, straight from the vault, like he'd been sitting on that evidence, just biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. And let's be real, who could blame him? Wack's been dragging 21's name through the dirt for years.
Who that told him that though?
Because his statement in his statement is Wack.
Calling him a snitch, accusing him of cutting deals with ICE to stay in the US, even trying to force his name into the YSL RICO mess. And through it all, 21 kept it cool. A few slick lines and songs here and there, but mostly silence. Now, if he's the one who really dropped that wiretap, that's not just drama. That's a power move. No shouting, no posts. Just let the tape do the damage. And considering all the sneak disses Wack was throwing on Clubhouse, it's like 21 finally clapped back, without even raising his voice. Now, when you step back and connect the dots, it's starting to look like Wack's been hollering snitch all this time just to keep people distracted from his own dirt. And let's not play. This ain't the first time the streets had questions about him either. People been whispering about this for a minute. A few months back, rumors started flying that Big U was facing RICO charges. But before he even turned himself in, he jumped on video and dropped a bomb.
What you mean?
Damn,
Because
it's been 3
obviously
years.
you ain't going to court because you was going to court. Every time you go to court, they gonna let us know you going to court. So
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open
nah,
gun
what
case.
about
Fool.
the gun case, bullshit?
I can't go to court for immigration if I got
They
an
will
open
give
gun
you
case.
your
man.
time.
He flat out said Wack 100 was working with the feds. That's not just gossip. That's a serious claim. And now, the timeline's looking real sketchy. Here's where things start to feel shady for real. Before the RICO hit the headlines, before any arrests, before anything even hit the court, Wack already knew what was coming. Out of nowhere, he hits up Big U's wife with a message like it's a full-on emergency. He gotta leave. Like, how did he know? That wasn't a heads up. That was a whole setup vibe. Wack was out here acting like a first responder. But instead of saving lives, it felt more like he was directing traffic for the feds.
And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
That early warning, it didn't feel protective. It felt strategic, like he knew the raid was coming and wanted to play the good guy after tipping someone off. Then it got even wilder. Once Big U was in custody, Wack jumped online and started throwing dirt like crazy. He claimed Big U had a BlackBerry he used to talk to the feds, like he was trying to flip the whole narrative and make Big U look like the snitch. But instead of clearing anything up, all it did was make Wack look extra suspicious. People started asking real questions. Why is Wack always the first one to know when heat's coming? How's he always tangled in the mess, but never the one actually getting caught up? That call to Big U's wife ain't sitting right with folks. It felt more like someone playing both sides of the game, standing real close to the fire, but somehow never catching a single burn. That's when people really started side-eyeing Wack. Not like some street OG, but more like someone moving under the radar.
Going through it. I said, yeah, I don't know nothing about this. He said, man, y'all too tight. I see Big U signature. I see other signatures. I'm reading it. And what shook me was the police issued device to communicate with law enforcement in form of a BlackBerry.
Maybe even hiding behind that watchdog act. And this whole situation, it ain't just recent, it goes way back. All the way to 2005, when Wack and his brother got pulled over out in Texas. At first, it didn't sound like much, just a speeding stop. Cops asked the regular questions. Wack told them they were headed to a funeral in Oklahoma. Cool, until they refused a car search. That's when the cops brought out the K9 unit and boom, it got real. The dog sniffed out a loaded shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol, all packed and ready. But here's the kicker. Wack and his brother were already convicted felons, and everybody knows. Felons plus loaded guns equals automatic federal time. No probation, no slap on the wrist.
Yeah, after you got that message,
Huh?
after you got the message, you hit up Big U's wife. You said, sis, 911. One sec, let me get Solo. And you gave him a heads up.
What I tell him?
You said, one sec, let me get Solo. He needs to leave. Bad. In caps, all caps, he needs to leave.
I said so bad, right?
That's the kind of charge that ends careers before they even start. But somehow, Wack made bail, slipped back to LA and acted like nothing happened. No press, no noise, no updates. Then, 2 whole years pass, complete silence, no trial, no conviction, just gone. And then the real twist, out of nowhere, the entire case gets dismissed, but not because of some legal error or missing evidence. Nah, the court stamped it as dropped in the interest of justice. Wait, what? Anybody who knows how the system works understands. That phrase don't get handed out like candy, especially not to felons caught with a trunk full of guns. That ain't mercy. That sounds like something else was going on behind the scenes. And now, people are really starting to wonder who Wack's been talking to all these years. That sounds like a straight-up trade. Somebody gave something up. Later on, Wack tried to flip the script, claimed the search was illegal, and that's why the case got dropped. But come on, that was just smoke and mirrors. The court records were public. Not once did they mention anything about an illegal search. The whole thing was dismissed clean. No explanation, no drama, just gone. And here's the part that gives folks chills, the timing. Just a couple years later, Suge Knight, Wack's old boss from the death row era, got slammed hard by the feds. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Suge got hit with a gang injunction. His whole circle got torn apart. Raids, wiretaps, sealed files, names spilling everywhere. But Wack, not a single charge. No headlines, no indictments, no mentions. It was like he was invisible. Never even in the room. His name was nowhere in the paperwork. Not once. Then came that wild case involving a kidnapping plot tied to Shaquille O'Neal. The one where the Main Street Crips got caught up in a serious mess. Inside the official transcripts, there's this mysterious guy named Back making shady calls, leaving messages. And guess what? People been whispering for years that Back was really Wack 100 using a different name. Now flash forward to today, and Wack's all over the internet, throwing shots left and right, pointing fingers at Gunna, BG, Brick Baby, 21 Savage, even Jay Diggs, acting like he's the judge, the jury, and the moral voice of the streets. But let's be honest, that 2005 federal gun case, it doesn't line up with the tough guy image he's selling now. It feels like he's out here controlling the narrative, while leaving out the parts that don't fit his story. You don't just walk away from a federal gun charge as a convicted felon with 3 illegal firearms in your trunk, unless you're either the luckiest dude alive or you gave something serious up. And now, that new clip just dropped. The one where a police badge flashes for a split second, and it brought all those old questions roaring back. It's not just about the badge, it's the silence, the mystery. That same unanswered question from almost 20 years ago. What did Wack give up to get off that easy? Because let's keep it all the way real. Wack's entire image is built around one word, snitch. That's his go-to diss. Every time a rapper gets locked up or signs a plea deal, he's the first one on Clubhouse yelling, "He folded." He did it to Gunna, claimed he had a 2-hour interrogation tape, said he'd drop it unless Gunna came clean. But where's the tape? Nowhere. Just loud talk and empty threats. Then he came for BG too, a man who already did over a decade in prison. Wack accused him of cooperating. But guess what? Not a single shred of paperwork ever surfaced. In fact, BG's own cellmate stepped up and said, BG stayed solid, no fold, no flip. But did Wack stop? Not even close. He just kept running his mouth like proof didn't matter. No receipts, no court documents, just noise. And to the casual listener, yeah, it sounds convincing, like Wack's got some kind of street honor code. But the folks who've been watching closely, they're starting to catch on. They see the pattern now. Every time Wack's got something shady hovering around him, he gets real loud. He flips the story and starts throwing accusations left and right. The louder he gets, the more people are starting to wonder what he's trying to hide. Here's the thing, Wack records everybody, like for real. That's not how real ones move. You don't hit record on every single convo unless you plan to use it or hand it off to someone else. And now, people are finally starting to catch on, especially after noticing a strange pattern. Some of the rappers Wack pulled into those messy clubhouse chats later ended up catching cases. Loose Cannon got on there, ran his mouth a little too freely, and boom, he got jammed up not long after. Now folks are asking the real question. Was Wack setting them up, getting these guys to talk reckless on record, then making sure those clips went viral just in time for prosecutors to swoop in? It's starting to feel orchestrated, like the whole thing was designed to trap people. From the way he stirs up arguments, to the way leaks conveniently pop up when they serve his agenda, it all feels too clean, too timed, too perfect. Sure, not everything out there is hard evidence, but that pattern, it's getting way too loud to ignore. At some point, you gotta step back and ask, what's really going on here? That viral clip with the badge flash might have been the spark, but the fire didn't just come out of nowhere. This heat's been building for years, ever since that 2005 gun case vanished into thin air. Then there's him knowing about the RICO hits before they even dropped. Add in the wiretap rumors, the badge flash, the endless recordings. It's starting to feel less like bad luck and more like a setup. Now everything's boiling over, and Wack's still surfing like he's untouchable. But the streets, they're connecting the dots, and the picture they're painting ain't looking too good for him. That wiretap didn't just catch one sketchy moment, it peeled the curtain all the way back. What people are saying now, this ain't about clout, it ain't about beef, it's about control. Wack's been building his whole messy empire on secrets, manipulation, and straight fear tactics. Think about it. Why would a man with that much dirt on everybody always have a mic on? Why the constant recordings? Why the selective leaks? He always drops just enough to stir the pot, but never enough to get burned himself. It's like he's out here playing puppet master, pulling strings while pretending to be the realest voice in the game. But that act, it's wearing thin. People ain't falling for it no more. Even folks who once had his back are quietly backing away. Industry insiders, keeping their distance. Labels, silent. Artists, not defending him like they used to. That big energy Wack had on Clubhouse, that kingpin vibe, it's crumbling fast. Cause once people in the streets start thinking you're moving like a plant, using your platform to line others up, it's a wrap. You can't bounce back from that. Respect turns into suspicion. Loyalty fades into silence. And it all leads back to one huge question nobody's ever answered. How did a convicted felon with 3 loaded firearms catch a federal case and walk away with nothing, while everyone else around him keeps getting hit with charges? Wack's been skating for decades. Now with all this smoke, from leaked audio to those federal murmurs, people ain't just seeing Wack as a loudmouth anymore. They're seeing him as a problem. And if that next tape really drops, like some insiders are claiming, it could be game over for real this time. Now the streets are buzzing with new rumors. Another tape might be coming, and this one could hit way harder than the last. Word is, somebody's sitting on footage that could finally blow the lid off how deep Wack's ties really go. Not just with rappers, but with folks way above street level. We're talking real power, government names, backdoor meetings, sealed deals that were never meant to see daylight. And what's making it all even wilder? People are saying Wack's been out here paying to keep some of these clips from dropping, allegedly cutting hush-hush deals behind the scenes, greasing palms, silencing voices, and keeping certain files buried deep. But one thing about secrets, they never stay buried forever, especially not when you've spent years making enemies everywhere. From Clubhouse to podcast to the actual streets, Wack's been pressing everybody. But if this new tape drops, it could change everything. Folks already been questioning how he moves, but this could be the final nail in the image he's been pushing. The tough guy, the no snitch, the loudest voice in the room. All that chest pounding might start to look more like projection. Let's be honest, if the streets get their hands on solid proof, like video of Wack moving foul, that's game over. You can only talk in circles for so long before the truth starts screaming louder than your mouth ever could. And once that tape hits the timeline, it's not just his reputation that's in trouble, it's his whole brand. There won't be no walking it back, no spinning it with clubhouse rants. If that footage is real and it drops, ain't no coming back from that. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.